welcome to... How do we start?
Welcome to World's Wildest.
Welcome to World's Wildest.
Hi.
Welcome to World's Wildest. Welcome to the podcast,
You haven't asked them how they are recently.
How are you?
Great. We're great, too.
We're great.
Yeah? Maya, who are you?
What is that? What do you mean?
Who are you? Like, who is Maya Higa?
What are you talking about?
I wanted you to give your, I'm the executive director,
Oh, sorry.
But you can also
This is funny because this episode is World's Highest and we are not high. This was the worst start we've ever had.
I was in the bathroom for 30 minutes.
All
we
right,
weren't supposed to be doing that?
Okay, all right. I don't want to say my intro now.
Okay. This is Maya Higa. She's the executive director of Wildest Sanctuary.
Oh.
She's a conservationist, biologist.
Not a biologist.
Kind of.
I wouldn't call myself a biologist.
Okay. A conservation educationalist, and
thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. Me. And also worked at a bunch of zoos, AZA facility, and has 1 million subs on YouTube. Huge.
True.
Congrats.
True. And this is Connor O'Brien. He is a biologist, and he is the director of operations at Wildest Sanctuary. He's worked in Alaska with moose and bison and bears, and he's worked with bald eagles and other birds of prey, and he has a wildlife technology company called Window to Wildlife where he puts cams on wild birds. Pretty cool.
Thank you.
All right, great. We've recovered slightly. Sorry about that, guys. If this is your first podcast episode, that sucks. That sucks so bad.
I think it was great.
Okay. Glad you're here. So
it's about to go downhill.
It's about to go downhill. Today's episode is World's Highest.
We're talking about getting high as fuck.
Wait, Connor.
Johnny's gonna bleep that. See, they didn't even hear it. I told you I was gonna drop one, but we're good.
That's your only one. You can't do it again.
Okay.
It's a PG podcast.
We're a G podcast.
We're a G podcast. Yeah. So on our World's Highest episode, Connor. Okay. You might be thinking, what do you mean World's Highest? You've already done World's Most Inebriated. And you're right. But there's more. And this time, it's not about being inebriated, it's about being high, which I think are different.
Kinda. I think when you think of inebriation, it's more like drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to be inebriated while you're high, technically, by the definition. But I think high is a better indicator of what we're about to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're doing World's Highest today.
Did you find... Wait. For World's Highest... Did you just go down animals that do it to themselves?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I went a little dark. Sorry.
Oh no, that sucks.
Well, it has a good turn at the end.
Okay. Well, my first one very much does it to themselves.
Okay.
And they like it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, it's so funny. Yellow-bellied marmots.
Okay.
This is one of the largest rodents in Yellowstone. They're 20 to 28 inches, 50 to 71 centimeters long, 3.5 to 11 pounds.
Okay.
So like a Chihuahua size rodent. They're found in the lowest. Can you pull up a picture?
Why are you laughing so much?
It's so funny.
Okay. They look like...
They're found from the lowest valleys to alpine tundra. They like open grassy communities, and they're almost always near rocks.
Why are you... You haven't even got to the... She is high.
They're almost always near rocks. They like them.
Okay.
They feed on grasses in the early summer, and they switch to seeds in the late summer. Occasionally, they will eat insects. Okay. So I'm going to read you an excerpt from a National Wildlife Federation article from 2022. Ready?
Okay. National Federation. Okay.
National Wildlife Federation.
Okay.
This is Andrew Becker wrote this article 2022. An odd sort of junkie is wrecking havoc in the Mineral King area of Sequoia National Park in California.
Oh.
Hanging out underneath cars in the parking lot. From May to August, the addicts often camp in groups of 4 to 5.
Okay.
Their poison, toxic antifreeze.
Oh.
The hooked, yellow-bellied marmots, fearlessly climbing into the engine blocks of vehicles, the rotund rodents.
Rotund rodents.
The rotund rodents chew through brake lines and radiator hoses in search of a fix of ethylene glycol and alcohol in the antifreeze. Quote, some 200 marmots do this every year, damaging
Jesus.
20 to 40 cars, says U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service biologist Harold Werner. It's almost like the marmots are waiting for the cars to show up when Mineral King opens.
Mineral King.
End quote. So, marmots like antifreeze.
That's
lot of them
insane.
like it.
They don't die?
200 of them plus like it. We'll get there. So antifreeze has an innately sweet flavor. I hear this is actually dangerous for like pets and kids, right? Like kids will drink antifreeze and then die.
I can tell you about the dog stuff in
Okay.
a minute when you get there.
So it has an innately sweet flavor and aroma that attracts like anything. Moderate doses are lethal to dogs and cats and humans. Tell us about what it does to dogs and cats.
Oh, it wrecks their liver and kidneys. I've only done it on dogs. I've never had cats with it, but they come into the clinic. One of my favorite dogs like lived and worked kind of at a rope factory, blue water rope, if anybody's familiar, and had that antifreeze in one of the rope machines and drank it. And she kept getting sick and they couldn't figure it out till like the second time. But she was a bit drunk, and the ethylene glycol attaches to where alcohol would normally attach to, like on a nerve or like on a protein. If you don't treat it fast, the liver and kidney shut down. I think it's on the liver mostly because you can't kick it out. The body can't kick it out of the protein. So what you have to do back in the day, the cheap thing to do was to get full like grain alcohol vodka with no additives. So we would get Rebel vodka, and we would
don't say that.
dilute it in an IV bag, and then you give it to the dog. Nowadays,
sorry, it's not funny. I just saw a really funny picture of a marmot.
Then you would there's actually like specialized IV drips with specialized alcohol in there. That's not as crazy, or like it is a little toxic to them, the Rebel vodka, but it would kick the antifreeze out of those proteins, and then the antifreeze would get peed out.
So they get high from antifreeze, and then you get them drunk.
They get a little drunk off antifreeze, actually, technically.
Oh,
because it attaches.
And then you give them more alcohol to fix it.
You get them drunk because it allows the ethylene glycol to kick out and get peed out, and then alcohol eventually will let go of those proteins in the liver.
So if you get too drunk, you should do a Rebel vodka drip, IV drip.
For antifreeze, technically, yes. But don't, like, only if the world ends and something like that happens, you should do that personally to your dog or to a person. But go seek a medical professional. It's actually, as long as you get there fast, it's not that crazy.
So what is it? It like leaks out of the car and then the dog goes and like licks it?
Yeah, or machines or something like that because it's sweet.
Right.
And they love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never had a cat do that, but don't.
Huh. So yeah, so moderate doses can be lethal for dogs, cats, humans. But for marmots, it appears to cause a bit of a high.
Ooh.
There have not been studies yet to figure out what it does to them long term. So like people don't know for sure if they don't just like end up dying from eating it. But it does appear that the same ones that they've tagged return year after year.
Oh wow.
Quote, sometimes leaving vandalized cars in their wake. Marmots also have an amazing ability to handle toxic substances. So to tranquilize, this is a quote, to tranquilize them, they need the same dose as a bear. And a bear will be down for 40 minutes while a marmot will be back up in 5. This is Werner, that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service biologist.
That's insane.
If you have to re-drug them, it's really hard to make them unconscious again.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Little tanks.
Having a certification in chemical immobilization of wildlife animals is having that understanding is insane because
Flex.
The fentanyl that you need to take a carfentanil technically that you need to take down like an elk or a bear would kill a person so fast, and a marmot can tank more than that.
Can you back up? You said it very fast, your flex. Can you tell them what you're talking about?
I am certified to chemically immobilize animals under the supervision of a vet. So like darting. So I have a good idea of pharmacology of what it takes to.
He had to do that for the wolf dogs that we have at the sanctuary.
I did it after Alaska for fun, and then I got recertified
For fun.
for fun. So,
Cool.
no, that's just insane.
Yeah, they're heavyweights.
Like you could probably kill like 100 people with that dose for a marmot.
Connor and I can't relate. Connor and I are both very much lightweights.
One beer.
One beer for each of us. And
It's great.
Yeah, it's kind of sick. It's cheap.
I love it.
So hikers have tried to defend their vehicles. They have tried wrapping their cars in chicken wire. They've tried laying radiator hoses around the cars as sacrificial offerings, but it doesn't work.
Interesting.
The marmots say, we want the
I don't
good
know how
stuff.
you protect. Just won't go there.
Yeah. Can't imagine the like warnings. They probably don't have them. I don't know. I think people are just like, what the heck? Also, some people don't even know that it happened when it happened.
Yeah.
Marmots they're not huge. Like they're like little chihuahuas and
Right.
they like get in there. They have stowed away, holding on to hundreds of miles.
Jesus.
In these cars. So like get up in the car, they're like drinking the antifreeze.
And it's hot because
they have a chill in there.
Yeah.
No, they're in 1997 there were 3 juvenile male marmots that were found alive and well under the hood of a disabled car that had been towed from Olympic National Park to Seattle.
Jeez.
It's 110 miles. It's a 3-hour drive. They
Good
got in
God.
there, they drank some of the good stuff. They felt kind of good and then they just chilled in there.
I'm sure they were like really feeling it.
Yeah. So yeah, yellow-bellied marmots like antifreeze and they like getting a little high. That being said, don't give it to them. This is bad for them.
Or anybody.
It is unfortunate. Right, don't give it to anybody. It is unfortunate that this is something that they're getting into because obviously if cars weren't parked there, they wouldn't be getting into it
Right.
and it's definitely not good for them.
No.
But it seems like if they're coming back year after year to do this behavior, like they like it and like hopefully
Yeah, I don't know.
you know, what are you gonna do? At least they're not dying like a dog.
Causing thousands of dollars worth of damage, if not totaling some vehicles, if they're going through and eating all the wires, chewing through the wires.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So yellow-bellied marmots, world's highest. That's my first pick.
I'll keep an eye out for them if I'm ever out that way. All right, up next. It is a little sad, but
I'm
then
scared.
it gets good.
Okay.
So some scientists in the 1950s were like, what happens when you give LSD
God.
to spiders?
Scientists sometimes need to stop asking that question.
Does
What
it
happens
affect
if-
them? I bet we can understand how humans' brains work while under the influence of drugs if we give it to spiders.
I don't know about this.
Oh. Okay. Well, it's interesting.
Spiders is such a weird choice.
It is. They kind of were like, okay, spiders build these webs. Here's the original paper, a picture of it. They're like, oh, they build these webs. I bet we can say, all right, well, they build these webs these ways. Their normal work is like our normal work. And the work that they do on these drugs is like us on those drugs. So they did way more than
That's
LSD. But it's
just not the organism not that I would choose I wouldn't do this,
Mhm.
first of all. But like, it's just not, they're so different from us. Like I just don't know what we could,
I couldn't
how
see
much we could learn from that.
the connection there. Granted, it was hard to find the original paper.
Yeah.
Like I only found like a few pages. So I am missing some context here,
Mhm.
full clarity. But I can't wrap my mind around that. So how did they do this? A researcher said the drug was mixed in a sugary solution, which was then injected into a small fly. A tuning fork was used, and the vibration set up in the signal thread where there was the clue to the bait. Apparently, the mixture was delicious because there was no problem getting the spiders to take the bait.
Okay.
So the other thing that they kind of like, I guess I'll get to the diagrams. There's a dosage issue here too, because they had to like figure out what dosage.
How do you dose a spider?
And then like based on the dosage, you got different results, and then you could curate the results to whatever you wanted the answers to be. So a little bit of LSD would affect a person, pretty significantly, probably. I don't know. I've never done it.
Right.
But giving a little bit to a spider didn't change the web that much. It did a little bit. But if you gave a massive amount of LSD, then it did, like, its web was all messed up. So I guess like for a person, yeah, massive amount of LSD, they're going to trip out like crazy. So then they did this with a few other drugs that we'll get into in a minute. So they were just kind of, from what I could gather, it was just like, oh, we're just doing this. And I couldn't really get great pictures from the 1950s on this. There are some, but they seem kind of altered. Anyway, NASA then was like, hey, let's pick up this research from the 50s and let's do it in the 90s, because they were like, we're having some ethical concerns testing toxicity on other animals. Like, we need to find what's the lethal dosage.
So let's do it on spiders.
Let's do it on spiders instead of mice. Mice, and because like people don't have as many issues with spiders.
Right.
And these are the orb weavers, by the way, that they're doing. So one of the prettier spiders. They're initially a little shocking, but when you get close and like you understand them,
they're like Christmas ornaments.
So pretty. I really like them. We had some orb weavers outside of Alves.
So
I miss them. I don't know where they are. We let them be there. There's one in the back of your tiny house.
Yeah, they're out there.
Beautiful webs and spiders. So the NASA did experiments in the 90s. Here they experimented with marijuana, Benadryl, which is an amphetamine, caffeine, and chloral hydrate, which is a sedative. It's not quite like chloroform, but think of kind of like chloroform. Here's a picture of it. So here's the webs. Audio listeners.
This is from the 90s from NASA?
Yeah.
Connor, if you pulled up, if I saw this like on the internet, I would not think that it was research.
This was in the paper. 1994, 95, something like that.
Okay. Did they draw it? What is going on here?
I don't.
They
it is a
mapped it
drawing.
out? Yeah.
It looks like a Spider-Man drawing, like from the 90s show, honestly.
Yeah.
So in the top left drawing is like a normal orb weaver web, and then the middle is marijuana. It's somewhat put together. It's just not as complex. They said the spiders were really trying to they really try to push the narrative like, this is what your brain is like on this 100%. Drug.
Yeah, this is so, the human interpretations of this are so, like, this is such a silly study.
It is.
It's so strange.
So yeah, the marijuana is like, oh, they got like, they started
this
like,
is
we're
your
doing okay.
brain on drugs.
Yeah, this is like a big war against drugs era too. Did you ever do DARE, by the way?
Yes.
I did DARE as well.
They came into our school and they were like, this kid died and one of you is going to die. And we were just like, dang.
They're like, marijuana is like the worst ever. Like this deep south. They're like,
yep,
you're going to go to hell and like, you're going to be this person. And they show like a meth head. Like, if the second that you do marijuana, you're going to look like this meth addict.
Yeah.
So
they like did a stats part of it. And they were like, statistically, one in so-and-so people die like from a car accident because of drugs. So like one of you is going to die. Look around.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh, that's a terrible, it was bad. They did not do a good job. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Sorry. That was a digression there. But yeah, so okay, the marijuana web, it is, I would say like 70% of what a normal web would look like, just a little bit more artistic, I guess. Then the Benadryl, which is the amphetamine, which I really don't, amphetamine is like, it's like a upper, to my understanding, is the web is a little bit more chaotic. Caffeine, there's hardly any web.
Yeah. Caffeine is like stained glass. Like there's not even like a circular pattern to it.
Right. And the chlorohydrate is just like
broken
barely
window.
any webs in any strings of silk.
Yeah, it looks like you threw a golf ball through a window.
Yeah. So, and the biggest thing that they talked about too, when you actually read the paper, is like dosage. Like we had to find the right dosage to like get these results.
So weird.
So yeah, I don't like that. Anyway, here's some more study pictures. They did quite a few of those. If you're a YouTube viewer, you can kind of see them, but audio listeners, I mean, it's just like different pictures of webs with, it's been around on Twitter. And
I bet. Yeah. Oh, people
Facebook.
would eat this up.
Yeah. So
older ladies.
Yeah.
Eat this up.
100%. So I'm not saying people should do drugs and that drugs are not bad. But it's not as portrayed by spiders. Like they're just not a good.
Yeah, that's such a weird study. Did you ever see that video where they were like, Didn't they say there was like a spider on cocaine or something, and it was one of those spiders that buries itself?
Yep.
Or maybe there was a voiceover to that too. That wasn't actually like put off as science. I don't think. I thought it was like a meme.
Could be. The issue that I was running into, Snopes was a big help on this. And they were like, they have a lot of the social media literature is all different pieces of studies kind of put over each other and mixed around.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, I guess the best misinformation does have a bit of truth to it.
Mm.
And then they just skew it. What the best lie is 90% truth or something like that is what I've heard from Beth on Yellowstone, quoting her anyway. So yeah, there's a big issue with that. So I was like, man, this is like kind of pointless.
Okay.
But like 2017, some researchers like, you know what? They did some crazy freaking studies on these guys. I wonder.
In 2017.
2017, some researchers like they did all these past studies on them, were crazy. But we learned that chemicals do affect how spiders have their webs.
Yeah.
So they're like, man, these like I think it was the orb weavers.
I can't imagine, by the way, sorry, pause. I can't imagine how many spiders they killed.
Yeah.
Like so many, so sad.
Yeah, it's awful. So they were like, how these orb weavers live close to water. I bet you that they're having issues with chemicals from waterways, and they can be our sentinels for a healthy or unhealthy ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So the preliminary study, I couldn't find more on it because I need to be subscribed to those really expensive research subscriptions. But they were like, yeah, we're starting to collect a lot of data and use the later stuff was like image. What's the computer imaging software to track spider webs and see if there are specific chemicals that are affecting the webs.
That seems so hard to do because they're so fragile, and like wind surely could like disrupt a web, you know?
I think that comes into account, and they're trying to find where it lies in there. But the biggest thing that they're finding is when those orb weavers are dead. They pick them up out of the webs and then go back and test them and find that there is a bioaccumulation of these pesticides, these chemicals. But orb weavers are also heavily preyed upon by birds of prey. So they're starting to see those cascading upward effects of chemicals to birds of prey, finding them dead, testing them. And it's kind of becoming this whole thing where if the more we learn, the more we can use nature to do our jobs for us, and we don't have to do as much testing. Like we can just pay attention to nature. Like, yep, this place is not healthy. Let's test for this kind of chemical.
Bioindicators,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hearing the new shift is sentinels. I've been seeing more of that.
I haven't read about that.
Like instead of bioindicators, like sentinels. I don't know. But so all that study kind of leads into like, all right, now it's finally some good.
Yeah.
It just took us a while to get there, and I hate that, and I hope we don't try just giving drugs to spiders anymore. There's just no need.
Yeah, I've never thought about spiders when it comes to bioaccumulation. You guys
Me neither.
are familiar with the concept of bioaccumulation. If you're not, it is the buildup of toxins or chemicals as it moves through a food chain. So like if a rodent or something eats a rodenticide, and then a snake eats that rodent, and then the rodenticide is in the snake, and then a hawk eats that snake, then the rodenticide, or eats two snakes, then like double the rodenticides. Biomagnification, I'm sorry, is what I'm talking about. I always get those two words mixed up. Biomagnification is when it moves up through a food chain. Bioaccumulation is when it accumulates within a single individual organism.
Okay. Yeah.
So bioaccumulation is like a snail eats 3 leaves with pesticides on it and then gets all 3 of those. Biomagnification is like lizard eats 2 snails, magnifies up. So yeah, when we apply chemicals and pesticides, we are targeting one species, but they end up affecting so many.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a crazy thing to remember.
Too.
Yeah, I've never thought about that with
which is super cool, which is a great conservation point I'm going to use to be like, we need to keep spiders around. They're going to tell us how healthy the ecosystems are.
Yeah, cool.
Really cool.
Sweet. All right, my next one is one of my favorite birds here.
Okay.
It's a cedar waxwing.
Oh, is that what we hear at night?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think you're thinking of
nightjar.
Nightjars, whippoorwills.
Whippoorwills, that's it. Yeah. They're super.
I love
Pretty.
them. No. So cedar waxwings. Are you familiar with these birds?
No.
Okay,
I'm terrible at songbirds.
they're North American bird. Yeah, they specialize in eating fruit. They look like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Look how cute it. This is a very globular form of a cedar waxwing. This is a hard one to describe, audio listeners. It is okay, so it's a songbird shape. It has a mohawk and its head is tan, but it has a black mask that goes over its eyes and he looks like a superhero, supervillain, if you will. It's giving Jack from The Incredibles.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he has like a tan breast that fades into yellow underneath, and then he has these really pretty like gray, like dusty gray wings. Cool thing about cedar waxwings is, well, here's another picture of them in the less globular form, standing up straight.
Very cute.
They're such beautiful birds. Like they look fake, like they look plastic.
It's so smooth.
So smooth, so sleek. Like they're just so cool. One cool thing about cedar waxwings is they're called waxwings because they actually have waxy red secretions on their wings. I didn't know this, and I've rehabbed these birds before, and I'm just like, I don't know, I've never looked close enough or something. But they have like waxy red tips on their wings, and the function of these tips.
That's just not pigment of the
No, it's like waxy secretions. Look at this. The exact function of these tips is not known. Maybe it helps attract mates. We don't know. But
wax is down there. Is it like actively excrete?
It says it's a secretion.
Secrete, like it's actively doing it, or
waxy red secretions. I don't know if it happens once when they like molt into this plumage, or if it's like secreting.
Like it should.
I don't know.
But that's cool. Audio listeners, it's like black and a little bit of white feather, and at the very tip, like the last like 5% of the feather is protruding out a little bit further than the rest, and is just bright red.
Yeah.
It looks like a match head.
It does, yeah. Yeah, they're beautiful birds. It's so cool. I didn't know this is why they were called waxwings, so now you know.
Okay.
So this one, I know I did this whole thing where I was like, oh, we talked about inebriated, and now we're talking about highest. We're not going to talk about drunk. This is drunk. So we're just kind of, sorry. It's not highest, but like pretend.
Okay.
So there's naturally occurring yeast that ferments ripe fruit.
Okay.
We know.
Yeah.
They convert sugar molecules into ethanol and carbon dioxide. So waxwings will eat this fruit, and then they'll display slower reflexes.
Nice.
And impaired decision making. Alcohol consumption is actually pretty common in the bird world. There was a study by a Polish scientist who revealed 55 species of birds, semi-wild and captive. So it was like done in that setting,
right,
that consume ethanol. And when asked why, he replied, probably for the same reason we go to bars.
Oh, okay.
They like it.
Cool.
But also ethanol will stimulate appetite and increase energy intake in humans. So it could be the same case for birds. And then ethanol represents a direct nutritional reward because its caloric value is nearly double that of carbohydrates. So if a bird uses alcohol from ripe fruit, especially berries and tree sap and stuff in the winter, it could be more valuable than just like eating normal fruit. So they do it for a nutritional reason and to feel a little buzz.
Is that why I can dig so much better in Alveus after I've drank a beer?
Maybe.
I just go crazy for the next hour.
Yeah.
It's a buff.
Yeah. Alcohol buff. Maybe. I don't know.
I should do that more often.
But yeah, cedar waxwings, they like to get a little dwonk, and they like to eat berries, and I think they're really cool. And if you see one, shout out.
Okay.
Very exciting bird for me to see in the wild.
All right. Heck yeah. I love that. All right. Up next. Oh, quiz time.
Quiz time.
It's been a minute since we've had a quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Since we've been talking about chemicals, what is the element with the chemical symbol Ag?
Gold.
No.
AU.
Oh, it's the other one. It's the opposite of gold.
Silver.
Correct.
My dyslexia gets those mixed up. That's what I'm going to go with.
Nice. Yeah, I deserve that one.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey, good job.
Thank you.
Do you prefer gold or silver jewelry?
It's gold.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm surprised you don't know that about me. It's kind of messed up.
I would have assumed that, but
Okay.
I've learned not to assume much in life.
Fuck
So,
off.
for me, the next one, these guys get really freaking high.
Okay.
Black lemurs.
Oh, I'm excited about this one.
Here's what a black lemur looks like.
Yeah.
They're cute. They're native to northwestern Madagascar. They have a very tiny range because of human development. Madagascar is not very big either.
Mhm.
Here's a map of it. Super tiny. Sucks. But it is what it is. Their weight. I'm just going to tell you guys, it's about the size of a chihuahua.
Mhm.
So, 5-7 pounds, 2 to 3 kilograms. So their diet is mostly fruit. So 78-ish% of their diet is mostly fruit. Other than that, they'll eat leaves, flowers, nectar, bark, and insects. They play a critical role in seed dispersal and pollination. I'm dumb. Producer, could you pull up a traveler's palm picture? I should have had that in there. They're a vital pollinator for the traveler's palm, which relies on lemurs for reproduction. I think they're exclusively, I'm almost pretty sure, or 99% sure they're exclusively the only pollinators for traveler palms. And here's a picture of the traveler's palms. They're crazy looking, aren't they?
How cool. That looks so not natural.
Yep.
It looks like if you made like a fan out of palm tree leaves
Peacock.
for a party or something, but they just grow like that. I've never seen this plant.
They're exclude, like the only way that these trees live, from my understanding, is black lemurs, and there's another like red-ish lemur. I can't remember.
Red-ruffed lemur?
I think so. Yeah.
I love them.
In the same area for that. So, which kind of sucks because these guys are endangered.
Yeah.
So their main
Lemurs.
threats, deforestation, hunting, pet trade.
Yeah.
Pet trade, gross.
Yeah.
Their main predators, other than humans, fusas, hawks, and snakes. We did a fusa episode. It was really cool. Lifespan in human care is 20 to 25 years. Out in the wild, it's quite a bit shorter. If they were left alone, people didn't try to kill them or put them in the pet trade, probably live to be about 18, 20 years.
Yeah.
So their gestation 125 days. They give birth to one osprey. No, offspring, excuse me.
Wait, that's crazy.
Occasionally two. The males and females look completely different. Here is a picture of them side by side.
Oh my gosh.
That's a baby. Oh, that's the baby one. All right.
Audio listeners, we are looking. That is a cat.
The
Audio listeners, we are
baby.
looking at a cat with hands
a baby.
and no ears. A baby looks like a cat.
Yeah.
With hands and no ears. Why aren't you? That's a crazy picture. You don't think that's a crazy picture?
I think it's very cute.
That is bizarre.
I think it's very cute.
If you showed me this picture, you didn't tell me what you were talking about. You're like, what is that? I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't know.
Maybe kind of cat. Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of looks like Claire.
Wow, that is bizarre.
So here are what the parents look like. Male is entirely black. Female is the brown one with white tufts. So it's a rare case of sexual dichromatism in primates.
Okay.
And they're one of the few primates that exhibit a high alcohol tolerance from fermented nectar. And there's a little bit more to that, why they can like just technically drink us under the table, me and you both probably, and they're the size of a chihuahua. So yeah, they'll often eat ripe fruit that ferments, so they have a really high tolerance, which is really good for survival because you don't want to get too drunk off of your food source.
I do.
And a fusa come down and take you out.
Oh.
Yeah, no, not a good thing. So the black lemur will also go over their other favorite food is a toxic millipede.
Yes. So cool.
And BBC has a freaking monopoly on all this footage, so we can't show it, but I'm going to describe it to you. So the lemur grabs, I think there's multiple types of these millipedes, by the way. I couldn't find a specific species in any of the articles, but they'll grab it, they'll bite into it a little bit. Here's a beautiful millipede, by the way.
Oh, so cool. It's red millipede with yellow legs. Looks sick.
What's the difference between a centipede and a millipede?
Centipede has one pair of legs for every segment of their body. Millipedes have much more legs. Centipedes are like flatter. Millipedes are more like dome, like train shaped. And then centipedes are carnivorous, venomous, and millipedes are detritivores.
Nice. Thank you. So yeah, the sad, they grab the millipede, they bite into it a little bit, get it to excrete its toxin. And then what the lemurs will start doing is they'll start salivating, and they're looking like they're like hallucinating. They're throwing their heads back because they are hallucinating. They are getting high. And then they're rubbing it all over them because the toxin also is a insecticide.
Yeah.
So they rub it on their chest. They love rubbing on their chest, their genitals, their bum hole, under their arms, everywhere they can reach, constantly biting and just getting high out of their mind. And then scientists believe that they'll ingest the full thing to get really, really high, but also to get rid of endoparasites inside their intestines.
Cool.
So they can't confirm that for sure, but they're pretty sure.
Wow.
So it's quite interesting that they'll do this euphoric state, and scientists believe that their liver and kidneys are just so freaking efficient to get rid of this toxin and to not get drunk off the fermented fur.
Wow.
It's been popping up recently on a lot of like TikToks, and it's coming back around. It was big in like 2016.
Yeah, I've seen
BuzzFeed.
footage of it.
Yeah,
This is another one where it's like, you guys should look up the footage because it's very, very cool.
it's insane that
If
they're
you
just
get a chance.
keep doing that to themselves.
Now's the time where we admit to you guys that we've been high this whole episode. I'm kidding.
I mean,
I'm not really into it.
I would not be able to function right now. Actually, I would just space out.
I actually don't think I've ever been high, if we're being honest.
I've
I've been drunk a lot, but I don't think I've ever been high. I've had weed before, but I've never been high.
I was interested,
Connor has.
and I was like, "Oh, I'd like to take like this, maybe like a 2 or 3 milligram gummy." Apparently, it was a 10. I lost a whole day.
See, no,
plus.
yeah, I don't want to do that.
Like what I like about alcohol, on an empty stomach, being a lightweight, I drink one. I have a good time for like 30 minutes. I eat. 30 minutes after, I drink a cup of coffee. I'm back to normal. I had a good little bit of break time, and now time back to work.
So, out of all the animals that we talked about today, we've got a few options: antifreeze, antifreeze. What was your second one? What was your first one?
LSD.
LSD.
Yeah.
Antifreeze, LSD, fermented berries, or toxic millipedes. What's your pick?
You know, I have to give this a preface.
There's one right answer out of these options.
I would do LSD, but when I'm retired and I don't need my brain anymore, I've always been interested to like, what is a trip like?
You have said that.
Yeah.
I would hate it because I have control issues, and if I was in a trip and I didn't want to be in it and I couldn't get myself out of it, I would crash out.
Yeah.
I would be so mad.
You would have to be in a place that you just like you have nothing to do for like months.
When do I have nothing to do?
When
for
you're
months?
retired
Oh.
and like 90 years old. And then if it messes with
LSD might take me out.
if my brain is all messed up from it and my brain chemistry is whacked up, then like whatever.
Okay,
about
my
you?
choice. My choice is the only correct choice out of the four. It's antifreeze. I'm kidding. It's fermented berries. That is what wine is.
Yeah, basically.
So I'm doing a wine.
Yeah.
I don't want to do millipedes because I don't want to kill them because I like them.
They're really cute.
I'm not biting off a millipede's head and rubbing it all over my body. That's crazy behavior. No, it's fine for the lemurs.
Smart.
Keep doing you.
How do they find that out?
I don't know, but it's so valid.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing fermented berries and I'm having a great time, but I would like in a second life to come back as a yellow-bellied marmot in Yellowstone Park and to crawl up under people's cars and chew through their brake lines and have a little sippy and then have a little nappy in the hood.
That would be a lot of fun.
And get a free ride somewhere else. Sounds like a good life.
I feel like you'd be very chaotic. You'd
Yeah.
be like the number one marmot, just take out as many cars as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a good time.
Be doing my part for the environment.
And if they were electric, I don't think there's antifreeze in electric. So you got nothing to worry about.
There's your incentive, guys, if you needed a reason to switch over.
Watch some car guy.
There's your reason.
Car
The
guy
marmots
girl.
are coming. Switch to electric.
I don't think there shouldn't be antifreeze in them. There's just batteries.
I don't know.
You just have heaters to keep the batteries
I've
warm.
never thought about it.
But
Okay, well, this episode was supposed to be world's highest. We did talk a lot about being drunk, which we already did an inebriated episode, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode nonetheless. Make sure you leave your suggestions for episodes in the comments so that we can grab some of them so we can do your suggestions. You always have really, really good ones, so We're excited to do more of them. Thank you very much. We're going to go over to the Patreon and record our bonus content over there. If you are looking for more World's Wildest, you can find us on Patreon. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for giving us a 5-star rating.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Here's a cookie.
Connor's giving you a cookie. Audio listeners,
Cookie
for you.
for you.
Bye.
Bye.